and welcome to Aliyah Pathways with me, Dr. Dahlit Brin. Today we will dive into one of the most exciting, emotional, and also expensive parts of making Aliyah, creating a real home here in Eretz Israel. Now, if you're an Olah or an Olah, you will know that making Aliyah is not just about the bureaucracy, finding schools, finding a job, but it's about creating a real home. It's about closing your front door, looking around, and feeling, this is mine, this is home. And then reality hits. First of all, rooms are much smaller than what you usually use. Standards are so different here in Israel. Interior design as a whole is very different here in Israel than it is in the UK, US, or other places in Europe. Dealing with Israeli vendors, such as contractors, handymen, and other suppliers can be absolutely exhausting. And it's not just about the language barrier. It's just a totally different culture around time, service, and quality. In this episode, I'm speaking with Elisheva Liker, a wonderful interior design and home stylist. Elisheva herself is a veteran Olah who was born and raised in Belgium. Then she lived in the US, she lived in Israel, then she lived in the UK and some other places before finally settling here in Israel many years ago. What is so unique about Elisheva is that she brings together European style, American service mindset, and a very healthy dosage of Israeli chutzpah. We will talk about the biggest pitfalls that Olim fall into when buying or renovating a property, and also how to navigate around Israeli tradespeople without losing your sanity. Why you must adjust your expectations around quality, service, and price, and how to translate your dream house from abroad into something that works in the Israeli culture and climate. And most importantly, how to actually enjoy this process of renovating and building your dream house instead of just barely surviving it. So if you're thinking of buying, renovating your dream home, or investing into a holiday apartment or Airbnb, then this episode is for you. Elisheva will share her insights, tips, and tricks that will help you save a lot of heartache, time, and money. And most importantly, she will help you to transform this exciting experience in something that you will actually enjoy and not just survive. So let's get started. Welcome, Elisheva Liker, interior designer and home stylist.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Yes, thank you so much for coming here. We've known each other for a while. I'm so happy that you made the time to be here because Aliyah is all about, coming to Eretz Israel and building a home. But what's a home without a nice space to be in?
Exactly.
And Olim have many problems to deal with, all sorts of professionals, and understanding how design works in Israel. And you're going to help us with all these questions and give some very useful tips to make
Absolutely.
sure.
That's what I'm here for.
Yes, thank you. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? You're a veteran Olah yourself.
I am.
Which makes it so much more relatable to you. So
I'm Elisheva. I'm 45. I'm a mother of 4. I was born and raised in Belgium. And at 13, I moved to Israel. And I lived there. I grew up there. And then when I got married, we moved to the US for a couple of years. And then after the US, we moved back to Israel, to Ra'anana. And that's where we've been ever since. That's basically my background. That's how I've really traveled around the world a little bit. I feel like I've seen a little bit of, the European style, the American service. They're really renowned for their good quality service, right, and that your customer's always right.
You're right.
Europeans are known for their style. And
for being on time.
Exactly.
And doing everything
very punctual.
Yes.
And I feel like I've absorbed a little bit of all of that in my design style, in my service that I give my clients. And I, of course, have a little bit of Israeli chutzpah.
Yeah, you have to.
Which I gathered along the way, which I think you need.
Yes.
If you're going to succeed in anything really in this country, and especially in this field.
Right, absolutely. How did you get into interior design? I mean, we can already see that it's something ingrained in your, whenever I see you, are very nicely styled in different settings, but it's always, everything just fits together. So how did you get into that?
So I've always had a real love for interior design. I will say that probably most of it comes from my parents. They really have very good taste, and I've always been surrounded by beautiful, settings and rooms and living rooms, etc. But I will be honest, I thought that it's not something that I could do and make money in. Okay. And so when I finished school and I finished Olim, I went and I did graphic design. Okay. I thought that would be a more, sensible thing for a woman to do who's going to have children. She can do it from your home. And so I did a degree in graphics and printing. I worked in that field for 5 years. I had 2 children in the meantime, and I absolutely hated it.
Oh, wow.
I really hated every minute. I did love the studying, but I didn't like the work. It was very lonely. I was on the computer for many hours a day. I'm a people person, really.
You really are, yes.
And I really lacked, this connection with clients and people. And then when I had my first child and my second child, I decided that this was just not for me. And I went back to school and I got a degree in interior design. And I've been doing that ever since. And that's the perfect, real mix of like design, computers, people, being on site. I just couldn't sit in front of the computer for so many hours a day. It was just not my thing. Right. And I've loved it ever since.
It's interesting with you saying on site. I mean, I've seen works of yours. I've seen you present works and also like whole processes. And what really surprised me, because I don't know anything about the world of interior design, is when you showed literally pictures of you in the building site with a hat on. Yep. It's like really like hands-on. Because when I hear interior design, it's probably more like the home styling, buying pretty things, making sure the colors go. But no, you plan everything. You know how to take down walls and everything. So you'll tell us all about that, because I think that's like also a misunderstanding.
I would just say that is the number one misunderstanding of interior design. I think in different countries, interior design means different things. Okay. I think maybe in America, interior designers have a certain job, and in Israel, which is more like what you described, the styling and the whole inside of the house. In Israel, as everything, they try to squeeze everything into one person so they wouldn't have to pay for 2 people. Okay. And it ends up being that interior designers do all the planning, the electricals, the plumbing and everything in addition to the interior.
So it's almost like an architect as well.
It's almost like an architect. The only thing that we interior designers in Israel can't do is ask planning permission and given to extend a house.
Oh, okay.
But then, for example, I have an architect that I work with and he does that side. Okay. But we really do everything.
So I think this is already is so important, because, when I think of, until I met you, because you've explained that to me, thinking of interior design, I just thought about the
the pillows,
pretty, exactly, couches, the ones, and for the viewers, you did actually fluff the pillows here.
Yes,
you did. Right. True interior designer. Yes, but what you bring to the table is literally you take a space and you really transform it into whatever it needs to be.
Absolutely.
So why don't you explain to us what the biggest pitfalls are from your experience of working with Olim? I know that you work with Olim, both those who are not even here yet and they buy a property and they want you to make it ready for them to come. Mm-hmm. You also work with Olim who just invest here in properties that they don't even want to live in, but you need to make it ready for whoever is going to rent it. And you also, of course, work with Olim who come here ready to move in, but need a space. Yeah. So what from your experience are the main pitfalls that we as Olim need to be aware of when we come from our countries of origin, because things just are so different here? Okay,
so as you said, there are a couple of types of clients. The ones that make Aliyah, and they're really building a home for themselves. Maybe it's a dream they've had forever, and they really want to build their dream home in Israel. Right. And then there are the clients that are investing in an Airbnb. That's long-term, short-term, it doesn't matter. And then there are some clients who come here and they buy an apartment or a house, and it's going to be for them for their holidays, for the Chagim, or for their children when they're here for the year. It's kind of like a pied-à-terre in Israel. And so all these 3 categories, they demand 3 different designs. Okay. Pitfalls that I would say for Olim that come here. First of all, don't compare countries. What is right in your country is not right in this country. What you're paying in your country is not what you're going to pay in this country. And also the standard maybe that you're used to may not be the standard here.
Could you give some examples?
So I always tell my clients that there is quality, service, and price. Okay. Choose 2. 2 of those 3 we can for sure find. 3 out of 3, if we find it, hold on to it and never let go. Okay. And I think you just need to come with this expectation. Okay. Don't come with the expectation that whatever works for you in the States and the US and Europe is going to work here, because you might be disappointed.
Okay.
I work with a lot of very professional people, but Israel and the Middle East, it has its own flavor. It's just not what you know.
Okay.
That's one of the pitfalls.
So, for example,
come with the right expectations.
Yeah, I mean, just to give an example. So, for example, one big difference that I found, which was in the beginning very hard for me coming from Germany, is like a time is an estimate.
Yes.
And then they even say, we'll come between 8 and 12. They might literally turn up at 5 p.m.
They might.
Yes.
Correct.
And that's okay here. It's considered okay.
I mean, it is what it is.
It is what it is.
First of all, we have to always listen. The Israeli, they're very laid back people. Okay,
Right.
They're not as stressed and uptight as other countries are.
Right.
And I think maybe that's because of what we go through in this country. We kind of we understand that life is precious,
Right.
and family is precious,
Yes.
and family events and children are precious, and so everything kind of in comparison kind of pales in comparison.
Right.
It's just a job. It's just a shiputz. It's just. Okay, so you have to understand that that's their mentality. It's not that they're being disrespectful.
No.
It's not that they're not professional.
Right.
It's just that they have a different set of values.
Yes.
Okay, and family is first, and safety is first, and everything is first.
Yes.
And then there's your job.
Right.
So when someone says he's coming between 9 and 10 or 11 and 12, he may show up at 3.
Yes.
He may call you and let you know that he's coming late, but you should just know. And if he says a date, he may not even show up on that date.
Right.
He may let you know before, and he may not.
Yes.
And I think that coming with this knowledge, and I very often prepare my clients for this, okay, so that they're not annoyed, they don't think it's something personal, it's not something that it's just for them. It's a general...
Right, don't take it personally.
Don't take it personally, really. And I think if you come with that expectation, this whole shiputz will be a lot easier for you.
All right. Okay. Now, you also mentioned standards, and when we prepared for this podcast, you gave me like so many examples of the differences. For example, scale. So I think this is also very important, and I've personally also experienced it when I come from England or from Germany. The room sizes are different, for example, and you said from America it's even more. So I think this is something that's really important to understand.
Yeah. So I think for Europeans, the scale and the standard here is a bit more similar, depending obviously what you're moving from and what you're moving to. But I think in America and in Canada, we know everything is bigger. And sometimes people, they buy a house or an apartment from a kablan, and it comes from a contractor, and it comes with some plans. And you look at the plans and you think to yourself, oh, that's a decent size. And when I'm looking at it and I'm like, no, this is definitely not what you're imagining. Like, I know in your house is much bigger.
Right.
And also sometimes the scale of the furniture on the plans are slightly smaller than in reality.
Right.
And people don't know that. And before they buy an apartment, they should ask, what size is the bed in this room?
Right.
Because sometimes it's really only a bed and a half and not a double bed. And that's why the room looks so big.
Right. And then when you actually put your own bed, which could be a double bed, and suddenly you lost space that you were counting on. Okay.
And so if we talk about when is a good time to ask for an interior designer, we'll talk about that later, I suppose. Sometimes it's better to talk to an interior designer before you buy the house.
Right.
When you're looking at the plans, just to go over with her for a consultation, just to make sure that you don't fall into all these pitfalls. The bathrooms are tiny sometimes. The bedrooms are smaller than you imagine.
Right.
The kitchen looks big, but when you actually get down to it, you realize there's basically no storage. Once you've put the ovens and the gas and the fridge, you're basically left with nothing.
Right.
These are things that you need to take into consideration if that works for you or not. But you should consult a designer before.
Right. Another story that you told me, which kind of stuck with me, is like the measurements. You said you told me about this example where you had an American customer, client, and he looked at it and it looked like amazing to him, and then you said, no, hold on, this is like metrics. You're used to something else. I think this is something that we also need to take into consideration, and where you actually help to translate that. And
also, sometimes when you're buying an apartment from a contractor again, and then there's a realtor that's involved, and they are very, adamant for you to buy this apartment, that yes, it is going to be fine. No. It probably isn't. Really, the interior designer is on your side. Right. The interior designer is here to represent the client and to make sure that you understand what you're going towards. Like, this client thought that his bathroom was a decent size. And when I saw it, even as a person who's been living in Israel for so long, I realized how tiny this bathroom actually was. Right. I knew for a fact that he did not understand that. Right. So I had to make a decision at that moment. Do I stand up for my client? And do I kind of go against the realtor? Because she was telling him that everything was okay, and she wanted to sell. I guess she wanted to sell it, and I, of course, went for my client, and I explained to him the situation, and I explained to him the sizes, and maybe he didn't realize that meters and centimeters were not inches and feet, and I think it wasn't that he didn't buy the apartment, but that he understood that he's going to have to renovate this bathroom in order to make it bigger.
I think that's really important, that what you're saying is, you're bringing clarity and you help to manage expectations. And I think, as in everything with life, this is really, really important. Now, another thing that we talked about is like materials, you know. I come from Germany. Everything often is like brick and wood and carpets. And like when I first came to Israel, and I was like, why is everything like stone? But I understood, because the climate is different, and you couldn't like copy paste.
Exactly.
So how do you handle that? If somebody says, look, I loved my home in the States and Germany, wherever, I want a replication here, what do you do?
First of all, my job is to provide and to make that dream come true. If that's what you want, then we'll make it work. That's first of all. We're going to make it work, and make it work for the climate in Israel. Okay, so one of the questions I ask my clients, and people always laugh, is do you or do you not do sponger? Sponger, yes.
Like washing the floor.
Washing the floor when you throw buckets and soap, and some people in Israel will not live without it.
Right.
And some people abroad just don't do it.
Exactly, because
they have vacuum cleaners and mops and whatever,
Yeah.
and just the idea of sponger is, what? What is that? I don't know, maybe I do. But you have to understand that we live in the desert.
Right.
And we do accumulate a lot of dust and sand.
Yes.
And if you're living by the beach, even more. Okay? So some things, so if you want to do carpets, we'll do carpets, but they'll be less shaggy.
Right.
And maybe not built-in carpets, you know, from wall to wall, maybe just area rugs that you can wash and you can shake out. Okay, so you do get the feeling, just not the hassle.
Right.
And maybe you'll develop allergies or whatever. Wood. Listen, wood floors is something that we do in Israel more and more and more. You just need to understand the limits of this. It does expand and contract with the weather. But now they have better technology, so it's doable. For example, people come and they would like wood cabinets in the kitchen. That is just something that is not done in this country. It just doesn't exist. We don't have that amount of wood. People do, so you can do other things that look like wood. Right. And you get the same feel. Right. But it's more adapted to this country and to the climate.
Yeah. So I actually sat down with you on my dream house. Exactly what you said. You know, it's a very, very long dream. And one of the things I was very impressed with was that you did really help me understand what's doable with what kind of materials, and you really explained to me the pros and cons, and you said, you know what, Dahlit, at the end of the day, it's your decision. Just know. So I really like the fact that you didn't push me into something, but you really explained that. And also the fact that that you really understood what I wanted, and kind of you didn't push me into a certain style or something. And I did sit with other interior designers who were very professional, and, you know, their portfolio looked great. But when I then said what I wanted, I just felt that I just didn't get it. Right. And this is something that personally I really appreciate. So what's your stance on, you know, how are you able to help someone, you know, take their style or their dream and make it an Israeli reality? Because that's what you do, essentially.
So first of all, I will say the number one most important aspect of my job, and the thing that I really find the most important, is listening to my clients. I really take a big chunk of the process for me is listening to my clients, listening to their dreams, listening to their wants, even stuff they hated. I want to know what they hated, colors they can't stand, materials they don't like. Right. I want to know everything about their routine, about who they are, who their family members are, what stage they are in their family. Are they having children? Are they after having children? Are they going to have grandchildren? So many aspects in their life I want to know, because afterwards I will take all that knowledge, and I thank God this is the ability that I have, and I will interpret it and create their dream space based on everything that they told me. The easiest thing for a designer is just to do the same thing in every apartment. They've done it before, they have the right people, and they just copy paste every apartment. But that is just not what I do. I really, really want to. I'm not going to go all Disney on you, but I really want to fulfill their dream in Israel. I want them to have a house that they've dreamed of. Some people, it may be their first. Some people, it may be all their life savings. Right. And I don't want to just do what I want to do, because at the end, they're going to be living in their house. Yeah. And listening, really listening, and asking the right questions is really the way to succeed in making their dream house and making it bespoke exactly to what they need. Right. And that is really the motto of what I do.
So listening to you now and previously as well, I really understand that your approach is very much the coaching approach, because you listen, you really understand, you know, the do's and don'ts, the ones, the don't ones, what works, what doesn't work, and then together you build a plan of how to make that vision true, which is exactly what I do in coaching with my clients. And I think that's one of the reasons why we understand each other so well. Now, one of the things you also said to me, because when we first met, and I said, oh yeah, I've had my burns, and you said, yeah, what your goal is with all your customers, to make this process an enjoyable one, and for them not to just survive the renovation somehow, but to enjoy it.
So the motto of my business is it's all about enjoying the process.
Right.
When you go into my website, that's the first sentence you see. I mean, all too many stories of people just saying, oh, I just survived this. Thank God, I'm never doing this again. I hate it every minute.
Right.
That makes me really sad.
Okay.
Some people wait for this their whole life. Exactly. You know, either they're Tzioni and they want to make Aliyah, or they've really saved all their money and this is the one time they're really investing. Why would you ever want to spend so much time and energy and money in something that you hated every minute of?
Right.
I really want them to enjoy it, and I hope that that's what I do. Okay. Basically, my aim is that most of the burden is on me. The responsibility is on me. I am always there. I go to every meeting with my clients. We do shopping together. They go to nothing on their own because I just don't think it's fair to send someone to something that they just have it's like sending me to do, I don't know, tax auditing. I wouldn't know how to. I wouldn't want to go on my own. Right. So when I take on a project and when I take on a client, I rarely have someone who didn't enjoy himself, and I really just, I am with them from the beginning until the end. The little chocolate on their pillow is when I leave.
Okay. So why don't you take us through the process? How would somebody start working with you? What are the different stages?
Okay, so obviously stage one, that's the best stage, is to call me before you buy.
Right.
If you have, you know, a few options and you're confused as to what the potential is in the apartment and what you could do and how much it's going to cost, and I'm giving you an estimation, this is obviously not a price.
Of course.
I think ideally that would be the best time to call me. If you've already bought a house and it's already and you want to renovate it, then you obviously call me. I would suggest you do not do anything without consulting an interior designer. Don't take a kablan because your friend took it, you know, and because it worked for your friend. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work for you. Right. You may not have the same budget. He may not want to work on your project. You may not have the same, you know, connection. So call an interior designer. Obviously, we have tradespeople that we work with that want to work with you. But I will say that I am very open to working with other people. If my client has this kablan, they've worked with their whole life and they're very happy, I'm very willing to work with them. And I don't just bring my own people.
Right. But you have that option, because many Olim come here and they don't know anybody. So you can.
Of course, I have everybody.
Right.
I mean, I can go into a project with all my people.
I think that's a big plus.
And that's a big plus. And if you want it, great. And if you want to change up a few people, then I'm willing to do it.
Right.
Obviously, if you're going to, some people don't even come to Israel. I've had clients that have never met me. Right. Okay. Where they've inherited an apartment. Okay. And now they want to turn it into an Airbnb. And I've worked with these people via Zoom. You know, we've done mood boards. We purchased things online. I've gone on shopping days, sent them pictures and videos. That is something that I do all the time.
Amazing.
And they've never even met me. And we'll meet each other at some point. Some clients, if they are going to buy, and maybe for the holidays, then once you get the apartment, I go shopping with them for the big items. Things that are crucial to them. Their beds, their couches, maybe their kitchen. And all the other items, I will do with them a little bit later. But I just think the sooner you bring in an interior designer, the better. Even if it takes a year even after you see them initially, you have your initial consultation, do it. Right. You'll never regret having a consultation. You'll definitely regret not doing it on time.
It's interesting because when I first heard of the concept going shopping with an interior designer, I'm like, why can't I go shopping on my own? And then when I started, not in for this new house, but in the past, when I started to look for stuff, I'm like, other than IKEA and like really high design, like really, really expensive designer places, I don't know anyone. And we've had that conversation. I go, yeah, because you know all the shops.
There is a world in between.
Exactly. And this is why we're definitely going to go shopping, you know, because Hashem, it's soon. And I think there's so much value. So yes, clients pay you for that, but I think we get it back like 10 times because you know exactly where to lead us, the right budget, the right styles, the right everything, the quality, and you make sure that what your client, in this case me, will buy is the right thing, and then I'll enjoy it. Exactly. It's not just, I know IKEA, so I'll go into IKEA. Or I know this, whatever.
To go to IKEA. Right. That's what everyone does. It's cheap, it's quick, it's easy.
Exactly, but it's not necessarily the right thing. Right. Where it works, great, but where it doesn't,
So the added value of going with an interior designer is, first of all, yes, we know all the shops.
Yes.
Okay, I'm a big believer in mixing and matching.
Right.
Okay, so you can do some high end, some middle, some low.
Right.
And nobody will ever know. And it will work for your budget. And I'm a big believer in that. The other thing is, there is something to be said for people that I work with constantly.
Right.
And I bring them clients.
Right.
And they'll give me the right service.
Right.
Because it works for them. If some random person walks into a shop, it's obviously not the same as if you walk in with a designer who has a rapport with the seller, and he won't lie to you. He'll bring stuff on time because it really pays for him, because I'll bring him another client.
Exactly. Yes.
And so it's the added value of going with an interior designer.
Absolutely.
Plus, for a fact, when I moved to the States, I didn't know where to go.
Right.
You only know the ones that you hear about, you see about, but there are many, many things in between.
Right.
And wouldn't you want to just have all the doors open?
Right. Exactly. Options. Absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. All right, so we've talked at length about the amazing value that you bring to Olim, but I do know, because I've seen an amazing project that you did, that you also work with commercial spaces and also with like factories.
Right.
So why don't you tell us a bit about that?
Okay, I will say that my number one area of expertise are homes and villas and apartments. That's my number one expertise. I do work with. I did a restaurant and I did offices. I do those kind of things, but my area of comfort is really designing someone's home.
Okay.
So that's my preferred area of work.
Okay. Although I must say, that project that you did in the factory.
Well, that's because when you
was amazing. No,
when you work in a commercial space, they're not really emotionally connected to the space. It's not like when you're doing a home,
right?
And so they're much more willing to take on your crazy ideas, maybe some ideas you've had for years that other clients were just not so open to.
Right.
And in this project specifically, I mean, I came out with all these ideas that I've wanted to do for a while, and they were like, yes, yes. Yes. And I was like, you know what? This is great.
Yeah.
And so that's why it came out so great. It was, when you let a designer go, until the end with their idea,
right,
it really pays for you.
And the trick is afterwards. Yes. So I will just say, what you did is in a factory, you actually redesigned and actually created a proper cafeteria kind of meeting room where they could have their lunches and coffees, and in a nice setting, and not like the very cold and disgusting what it was.
Exactly.
Because I've seen pictures before and after, and I think what you managed to do is you managed to do the opposite. After the space was there, they were able to emotionally connect to the space.
Yes.
And I think that is amazing.
I think they weren't expecting this.
Yes.
It's so out of of their area. So it's just, it is a factory at the end of the day.
Right.
And they really go up to that floor and they just walk into a restaurant looking dining room. And it is, you know what? It's so nice.
It is.
It's so nice to take a break in the middle of your day for 20 minutes, a half an hour. And just feel like you're in a different place and enjoy your lunch and not just eat and run.
Exactly.
It's really a moment just to gather yourself, speak with your friends.
Right. And I've actually worked in a factory. One of my first jobs in Israel was in marketing and sales, but it was in a factory near Hadera. Lovely, great job. But yes, it was just one white room with tables and a fridge and a microwave, and that was it. Yes.
How depressing.
And
and also, that now in the high-tech world, this is totally acceptable. People work in these amazing environments.
Yeah.
And there's no reason why somebody that works in a factory shouldn't have such an environment when he goes up for lunch or a coffee or whatever he wants.
But I think this is something that really is so unique about you, that you turn a space into something living and something nice and something emotional, and I think that's what it is.
I really, really, really want my clients to be happy.
Right.
I really do. I spend my entire time asking them, are you happy? Do you like it? Do you want to change something? I just really want them to come into that space every day and enjoy it.
Right.
And not have a feeling of, I can't believe this is what we paid for. This is what we did. That would just devastate me. I really just want my clients to be happy.
Right. And I think that really comes across. Okay. Any other tips that you can give to, especially of course, Olim, who come here and want to create their dream home space?
I think also one tip that we haven't discussed and that I just remembered is maybe sometimes, in America, and I know in Europe also, the architect and the interior designer, they have two separate jobs.
Okay.
And it's very clear. And in Israel, those jobs are a little bit, they're kind of intertwined.
Okay.
When you have a very big job to do, it truly is best to not put all your eggs in one basket. It is a good idea to take an architect and an interior designer. It's always best when everyone does what they do best.
Right.
And that way, if something doesn't work out with one of them, it's not like the entire project has gone down the drain.
Okay.
And you're not married to someone for 2 years. These things can take almost 2 years.
Right.
And that way, he does his, the architect does his job, the designer does theirs, they work well together. And I think that's also something that needs to be taken into consideration. Okay. Very often, the architect thinks he can do the interior designer job. Okay. But it doesn't always come across because the interior designer job, it's very much an emotional job. Right. And architects, even though they're obviously very, they're good at what they do, it's more cold. It's more the building, the rooms, the divisions. And the interior designer goes into the person's personal life and they really find out what is important to them. Right. And I find that is a very good thing kind of to separate if you can, obviously. I will say also emotionally, I know that this is a big deal for people when they make Aliyah. Yes. They're very overwhelmed. You know this because you deal with this all the time. Right. This is just another thing they have to deal with, to be honest. And maybe it's the most expensive one. And maybe it's and they have that, this. Yeah. They have their children, they have their work, they have everything. Right. But at the end of the day, when they get very overwhelmed, I do try to kind of ground them and say, listen, first of all, you're very lucky. You're lucky you get to do this. Right. Some people just move into whatever decrepit apartment they have and they have to live in it. They don't have the opportunity to renovate or to create a dream house. Right. And second of all, it is just a renovation. Right. It's just furniture. It's just lighting. And everything is fixable. We can fix everything. We can change everything. We can do everything. It's okay. And there'll be bumps along the way, and there'll be mistakes, and tiles will break, and things won't come, and there'll be a war, and everything happens. Right. Right. Just it's okay. Right. We've all been through it. We've done it. We've handled it. And in the end, it will be worth it. Right. And I think that's also something people need to just want. Sometimes you get so overwhelmed by everything around you. You can have a good little cry if you have to, but then let's get on with it. Let's get on. Okay, and I know you know this from your job. Right. You must handle this daily. Absolutely. And that's something that I really think. I think that's really important in this process because, as you said, it's so emotional. And the biggest thing is to have the right expectations. To come here knowing what you're going to, the right expectations, knowing what you're going to be dealing with. Right. And don't have the highest expectations. You'll just be pleasantly surprised if everything works out great. Okay. Obviously, listen, the houses that I do, the apartments I do, they're all finished. They're all perfect. They're high end. Okay. But it took us a minute to get there. Right. Okay. And somewhere in the middle we had Corona, and somewhere in the middle we had a war, and somewhere in the middle and things got stalled. I had this project where I was thinking the other day, we literally had the last piece installed Erev Sukkot. Like a couple of days before the 7th of October. Wow. Had we not done all this extra, to finish before the Chagim, she would have been stuck with half of furniture, not in that house, for who knows how long. Right. And that's things that we just have no control over. You're right. Turkey not bringing in all their materials. Right. What are you going to do? Right. So you have to take everything with a bit of patience and understand that in Israel, things just go on a different pace. But it will for sure happen, and if you work with me, you will definitely enjoy the process. Wonderful. So basically, so your golden nuggets would be, first of all, start early. Yeah, as early as you can. As early as you can, and don't do it on your own. Definitely not. Okay. Also, be patient because things in Israel are a bit different, and we just have so many unknown factors, and be mindful of the service, quality, and price triangle, and you better pick two and be pleasantly surprised if you get the third along the way. Yeah, and I think the most important one really is your motto. Is just enjoy the process. Really enjoy it because for many it's a once in a lifetime, and just enjoy it. It's your home. I mean, it really is just all about enjoying the process because I think if you enjoy what you're doing, ultimately, it will show in the process, in the outcome. Yes. And so that is probably the most important. Plus, obviously, it's such a big part of your life. Yes. You don't want it to take over your life. You just want to enjoy it. Yes. And that, hopefully, is what I do with my clients. Right.
I've seen your Instagram. It's beautiful. It's amazing.
Thank you.
Where else could anyone interested in working with you or getting more information? How can they get hold of you?
So I have an Instagram page, like you mentioned, and I have a website which you can go in and see projects, and you can read clients who are recommending me. There are photos of. Basically, it is all about my history and my anima amin, my belief. Like I just said. And you can go and see it there.
So is it okay if I put it in the description so people can find you? Okay, wonderful.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. You've given everybody so many good and useful practical tips. And that's what it's all about.
I look forward to helping anybody who wishes to build a home in Israel, really to fulfill their dream and make it as fun as possible.
Thank you so much for being here, Elisheva.
Thank you.
Aliyah Pathways with me, Dr.Dahlit Brin, supporting a journey toward confidence, clarity, and connection in Israel.